quarter of a mile, keep right to continue towards Tons Lane, A355. Keep right. In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto the M4 slip road to London, Heathrow Airport.
Protests in the UK are set to continue in support of Ukraine. This is Prime Minister Boris Johnson speaking last night.
There will be some very grim days ahead.
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
Everything we can to change the heavy odds that Ukraine faces.
What do Ukraine need from us? What should we be doing?
On your radio, on Global Player, and
LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 7 o'clock, there are reports that Russian troops have now entered Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, where fighting is underway. A gas
Continue on M4 for 5 miles.
leading to fears of an environmental catastrophe. The UK says Vladimir Putin's forces are suffering from logistical challenges and a strong Ukrainian defense. Daria Taran is signing up to join the resistance in Dnipro.
At first, they were scared, really scared. But now we are ready to fight. And fight like hell. So
Boris Johnson has confirmed Britain will be sending further arms to Ukraine in the struggle against Moscow's forces. The Prime Minister has praised Ukrainians for fighting heroically. Speaking from RAF Bryce Norton last night, he insisted the UK will play an active role in taking those fleeing the country.
Of course we're going to take refugees. This country's had a historic and proud role in taking refugees from all conflicts. And if you think what we did in Afghanistan, for instance, the UK was way out in front.
Western allies have agreed to exclude selected Russian banks from the SWIFT global financial messaging system. It's used to transfer billions of dollars around the world. The US, the UK, the EU and Canada made a joint statement last night. Here's our Washington correspondent Simon Marks.
SWIFT is the big international payments messaging system that allows financial institutions all over the world to send money to and from one another. They're also taking actions, they say, to prevent the Russian central bank, Russia's equivalent of the Bank of England, from deploying its international reserves to undermine the impact of the sanctions that have already been unveiled.
Roman Abramovich will no longer be involved in any decision-making at Chelsea. The Russian owner is handing over the stewardship and care of the Premier League club to trustees of its charitable foundation. It's understood he took the decision to protect Chelsea from continual links to the situation around the Ukraine crisis. Tackling violence against women and girls will be put on the same level as fighting terrorism, child sex abuse and serious and organised crime. The Home Secretary, Priti Patel, is expected to make preventing such attacks a national policing priority for forces in England and Wales. And the weather dry and fine for many today, particularly in the east. Some light rain for northwestern parts of the UK and patchy drizzle reaching the far southwest of England and Wales later, a high of 11 degrees. From Global's newsroom, I'm Simon Conway.
Hold on to your mugs. EE's full fiber is here. New broadband that can handle anything. And whatever you think that means, times it by a zillion and dip it in chocolate. Because this broadband connects 100 devices in your home. Search EE full fiber.
18.3% UK availability. Check coverage at ee.co.uk.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Andrew Castle.
7. Good morning to you. Sunday the 27th of February. The news agenda is really about one story at the moment. We may talk about other things over the course of the next 3 hours, and we may not. We'll see. We'll continue to keep you completely up to speed with what's happening with the Russian invasion, for that's what it is, of a sovereign European independent nation. They look west. Russia says, no, we're over here. You're ours. And the stories that are coming out now from Ukraine are harrowing indeed. So, latest news: city in Ukraine's south has been taken over by their neighbour Russia. This is from Ukrainian media. Russian troops now occupy Novokakhovka. It's a small city, one strategically located on the Dnieper River, which directly...
In 2 miles, at junction 4B, exit towards M3, M23.
Ukraine forces are currently back. Have they not been appeasing so far? The spirit of the people. Ukraine forces are battling Russian troops on the streets of the second largest city, Kharkiv. That's in the sort of, it's north as you look at the map. It's sort of east geographically. It is some 25 miles south of the Russian border. But once you start talking about, the layout strategically of large, modern European cities, which is what these are, and you realise that there are civilians in these cities, and you start seeing tanks and missiles raining down on apartment buildings, it doesn't take much imagination to realise, what is going on, and the harrowing prospects for the days ahead. So we think of the Ukrainian people, and we wonder what may happen to their neighbours if Ukraine falls, and how to deal with this man who very senior military and defence and security officials are very happy to say is completely unhinged. It seems to be completely out of balance. Listening to who? I don't know. But Vladimir Putin is seemingly completely out of control at the moment. And things not going as well as he might have thought they were going to. Which means that presumably he may be pushed to more heights of terror and horror in pursuit of what end? What end? All of this to be discussed.
In a quarter of a mile, at junction 4B, exit towards M3, M23.
The latest. Liz Cookman is with us, journalist reporting for Al Jazeera. Currently leaving Mariupol, that's a port city down in the south, not far from the Russian border, certainly front line. Good morning to you, Liz. Hello, Liz. Hi, can you hear me?
Exit at junction 4B, then keep right at the fork.
Quite hearing. Hi. Oh, I've got you now, Liz. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for being with us. No, absolutely. I mean, can you give us an outline of your situation at the moment?
Okay.
Keep right at the fork.
I'll tell you, we'll continue to pursue this, Liz. I wonder if we have you now. Can you give us an outline of where you are and what you're seeing and hearing? Not quite yet. There seems to be something of a delay. We'll call you back, Liz, and if we can get a hold of you, that would be absolutely fantastic. In a moment, I'll be speaking to a Ukrainian MP and co-chair of the UK Friendship Group, who will join us from Kyiv. Strategists talking about what it is to conduct war in large cities yesterday put the fear of God into me. There is currently a curfew in the Ukrainian capital. Just in the past hour and a half or so, BBC's Ukraine service reporting this one: new blasts in Kharkiv and in Kherson, which is a southeast city. In terms of the pressure that can be brought to bear on Russia, I don't know where you think that pressure is going to come from, but there is much talk about people taking Russia out of the SWIFT payment system, which is basically a messaging service
junction 14, use the left 2 lanes to take the A3113 exit to Heathrow Airport.
Yeah, that puts you in some trouble financially. Do you think sanctions make any difference to a man like Vladimir Putin? Russia Today and other channels can no longer receive money for ads on YouTube or other alphabet-run websites. The company also says those outlets can no longer...
Use the left 2 lanes to exit at junction 14, then keep right.
And I'll be talking about the sporting angle and why that's important a little bit later on. I believe we might have Liz Cookman leaving Mariupol.
Keep right.
Hi, okay, really good to hear from you. I hope you're okay. I wonder if you could outline your sort of your position.
Continue for half a mile.
For us.
So we left Mariupol early this morning. There were reports that the city surrounded with troops coming in on every side, Russian separatists and Russian troops. And so we decided...
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Airport Way, A3113.
And Ukrainians, I know, tried last night and were not allowed to leave, but they let us out, maybe because we're foreigners. We're now on the road to Dnipro. On the way we've seen, a lot of burnt out cars. There's various points where they're digging new trenches, kind of expecting troops to arrive fairly soon. And people are doing things like taking road signs down, so as to not help Russian troops know where they are or where they're going.
There was some suggestion that the people in Ukraine, the government body responsible for putting those signs up, have either taken them down or written very rude messages to the incoming Russians on that, which, if we can allow ourselves any sense of levity, is quite a pleasing thing. But my goodness me, what people in Ukraine are going through at the moment, and yourself, this is very frightening, Liz.
It's very frightening. Yesterday I was at a blood donation clinic where they've been overwhelmed with people turning up to offer blood to help the injured. They can only take 200 people a day, but they're getting many more. And even while I was there, we had...
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Southern Perimeter Road.
They could get hit by a rocket. It was even the hospital now guarded by armed soldiers. The situation is changing very quickly. Mariupol last night started to become quite militarised. There's armed soldiers on our streets in central Mariupol for the first time, so it's getting scarier all the time.
Liz, where are you getting your information from? Do you still have access to the internet?
Exit the roundabout onto Southern Perimeter Road.
And that starts to kind of spread towards the centre of London.
In 300 yards, at Western Perimeter Road roundabout, take the second exit and stay on Southern Perimeter Road.
Most of the tests I had before have gone dead, and people have fled. There are water shelters where there's no internet. So there's a lot of confusion. I'm still speaking to a Ukrainian friend who's still in Mariupol, who's been trying to get out for days, and it is so hard.
Exit the roundabout onto Southern Perimeter Road. Continue on Southern Perimeter Road for 1.5 miles.
Very confusing at the moment.
Huge numbers of people. I can only read here. I don't see it, of course, but huge numbers of people continuing to flee the country. Poland, Moldova, and other countries. People are leaving now. We talk in this country as we, and you know how this works. You move the story on. You try to talk about SWIFT payments or alphabet or changing the rules, and I don't think people quite understand the immediate sense of threat that everybody is under. It's an absolute horror story, is it not?
It's terrifying. I mean, you can hear explosions all the time. They get closer. You can hear gunfire. People are kind of starting to, running in and out of bomb shelters. And the bomb shelters themselves are not a nice experience to be in them. They're like dusty, damp, musty. It's, like yesterday, the supermarket that I went to, people were panic buying, and then an hour later, the supermarket had actually barricaded its own doors shut. So it's very scary.
Yeah, I was going to say, where are you getting food and water from? I mean, that this is the next area that we start thinking about whilst you deal with the grim reality. I wonder, What are people saying to each other? Is it just a matter of survival at the moment? We keep on seeing these most fantastic and inspiring scenes of people who otherwise wouldn't have gone anywhere near this sort of thing, making, you know, Molotov cocktails. I mean, it's like, you know, it's a pea shooter against a tank, but it's fantastically inspiring. The spirit of people has been phenomenal. One wonders how long it can last.
Yeah, people are determined that this is Ukraine, not Russia, and they're going to do anything they can to keep it that way. And although, I mean, it's interesting to see in Ukraine and in Mariupol, which is historically very pro-Russian, there is this whole thing, the monthly tensions and now the invasion has actually kind of united Ukrainians more, and people who were perhaps more pro-Russian before are now leaning the other way, although there is still some pro-Russian sentiment. Last night we actually heard people shouting "Welcome Russia" in the streets, so there is Ukrainian pro-Russians that might join the fight.
It's good to hear from you. Safe journey. How long will you be travelling for?
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the third exit onto Beacon Road.
Yeah. Well, the very best of luck to you, and our thoughts are with you and the people that you're travelling with, in fact with the whole country as well. Liz, thank you very much indeed for updating us. A journalist reporting for Al Jazeera, currently on the outskirts or heading away from Mariupol, which is in the south. It's a port city. Lesia Vasilenko is with me, Ukrainian MP, co-chair of the UK Friendship Group, who joins us from Kyiv in Ukraine. Lesia Vasilenko, good morning.
Good morning.
I wonder if you could tell us how your night was.
It was one of the most difficult nights.
Exit the roundabout onto Beacon Road. In 100 yards, at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Stanwell Road.
Because he didn't get what he wanted in the first 2 hours of his invasion of Ukraine.
Exit the roundabout onto Stanwell Road. Continue on Stanwell Road for half a mile.
In our armed forces, in our military, in our territorial defense units, we woke up this morning in Ukraine, through all the different cities, saw the break of dawn, saw that day is out there, and we knew immediately that that's it. There's no longer this question, will we stand, won't we stand? We have no choice but to keep standing. And I think that this is what annoys Putin the most, that he is not able to get his victory, not over a single major Ukrainian city. And this is where he goes in with the completely inhumane tactics of bombing civilians and bombing civilian towns, of shooting at civilians, of shooting at journalists and the media. And this is the terror and the panic and the chaos he's trying to invoke, but it's not working.
There are reports this morning of street fighting in the second city of Kharkiv. You will have heard the same thing, Lesia.
Yes, definitely. There are reports there's fierce fighting going on. Actually, all of these days, really.
In 200 yards, turn right onto Hatton Road.
Literally, I think that we're all still here in Ukraine. We're all still living the 24th of February when it all started, and sort of from then it's a never-ending.
Turn right onto Hatton Road, then turn left onto Staines Road.
Sorry if I get the date wrong.
Lesia, we completely understand. It is Sunday. It's the 27th of February, and this has been the longest week of your life, I would imagine.
Yeah, thank you for the update.
Yeah.
Now I know what date we're on. But yeah, but Kharkiv all throughout of these days was carrying out really fierce fighting, and they're still going.
Turn left onto Staines Road, A315.
Information that they got some of our military units to lay down arms. That's not true. That is lies. Every single soldier is standing there with his guns and whatever other military weapons they have at hand and fighting for that city, that great Ukrainian city.
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, continue straight to stay on Staines Road, A315.
British MPs.
Yes, indeed. We are constantly directly on the line with them. We have a huge response from MPs from every single party in the UK. With their help, we have been able to organize weapons being delivered to the Ukrainian MOD. All our colleagues have been great in pushing the UK ministers for doing more and more for Ukraine, and hopefully we're going to get even more UK support here on the ground and really have the UK standing with Ukraine.
Have you been disappointed with the reaction of other countries to what Mr. Putin is doing to Ukraine?
Look, at this point in time, I think the reaction has turned around. There were questions whether Ukraine will keep standing, what will happen. I think that the world sort of expected that, oh my God, Ukraine's going to be up against this huge force. It's nuclear power, it's the biggest army in the world. They're going to collapse. They're going to collapse. What's the point of fighting for them? What's the point of throwing a fight up against Russia and going into war with Russia? But I think as we progress, as we show that we are able to fight back and kick back the Russians on our own, I think we are getting more and more supportive, because the world is realizing it's not a one-day war or a couple of hours war. This is a war which can go on forever and ever. And I think that rather recently, Europe already was encouraged such wars. In the Balkans, for example, where there were sieges of Sarajevo, for example, and Bosnia, which lasted for years. I don't think...
In a quarter of a mile, turn right onto Shaftesbury Avenue.
...of that war are really up for seeing it happen again all over Europe. So I think that what we see now on the ground here is that sanctions are being put in place. Last night, Russia was already cut off from the SWIFT system, their major banks. We're seeing that we're getting weapons we couldn't even have dreamt of.
Take the next right onto Shaftesbury Avenue, then turn left onto Roslin Avenue.
Moving into Ukraine through specially designated corridors, and now we're getting the support that we need, but we need more. We need the no-fly zone over Kiev, and we need troops here on the ground with us countering these Russian battalions.